Hello again, my dear language learning masters, and welcome to the Language Input Podcast, in which I'm going to address all the most common questions and misconceptions around the language learning process. All right, and today I welcome you to episode number 5, in which we're going to talk about once again about a very interesting topic, very important in my eyes as well. Okay. But before getting started, I just want to remind you, I want to encourage you to leave your comments down below, and leave your feedback on this particular episode. Let me know what you think about this specific topic, about other topics. Also, feel free to send me your questions, because that way you're also giving me ideas for future episodes. All right. And yeah. That's pretty much it. So yeah, don't be afraid to participate and send your questions in. Okay. And with that being said, yeah, let's get into today's topic. And today's topic is, what's the relationship between language learning and memory? Okay. And pretty much is everything I'm talking about with languages. Everything comes from what I call the traditional grammar approach, or the traditional idea that we have of how a language should be learned, which is, the same type of approach we all suffer through primary school, high school, college, etc. And we all remember memorizing vocabulary lists, memorizing grammar rules, isolated words, etc. Right? So when I'm talking about memory, I'm talking about that type of memory, that conscious memory that we used a lot in high school, primary school, and so on, and in college, and that we actually use for pretty much any subject. So yeah, I mean, this same topic could be relevant to any subject, but all right, that's another topic, that's another discussion. Could be talking about that for many hours, about education and so on, but let's focus on the task at hand, which is languages. Okay. And let me tell you one thing that I realized when I started studying, reading, attending conferences, watching videos on how languages are actually acquired. There's something that really helped me a lot when it comes to calming down, to enjoying the process, and to feeling much better when it comes to my language learning journey. Okay. And that's the fact that the actual relationship between language learning and that conscious memory I was talking about is non-existent, fortunately. All right, and let me explain that. Like I said, especially we adults, we want to have conscious control over everything in our lives as much as possible, of course. So, and also because we're used to those types of classes in which we were taught to focus on grammar and form, we were taught to focus on memorizing words, etc. We always want to consciously control things, right? So whenever, even if we're doing something fun and interesting and pleasurable, like reading a book and so on, we're always focusing on isolated words or specific words, or what does that word mean? Or even if you understand the message, which is the most important thing, by the way, we're always paying attention to specific words, or we're trying to remember words. When we go to classes, we're trying to consciously recall those words for the next class and so on. Or we're watching a series, and when one specific character says something, we're trying to figure out, so what did he say, or what did she say, and what was that word? We're focusing on specific words because we're trying to be able to recall them and to be able to use them later on in our journey, right? And I understand that, but again, that's gonna lead to nothing but frustration. And even myself, I'm perfectly aware of this. I'm totally convinced by it, and I constantly have to remind myself when I'm watching a series in a foreign language. I constantly have to remind myself that it's okay if you don't remember the word or a specific word or phrase or structure or whatever, as long as you understand the meaning, right? And because, like I said, we're attending class or we're watching something, we're reading something, and we understand what a specific sentence means, but when we want to use that, when we actually want to produce output, we don't seem to remember that. Does it make sense to you what I'm saying? Like, you can understand many things that then you cannot actually produce yourself when you're trying to speak. Does it make sense? Let me know in the comment section below, as usual, of course, because that would really help me a lot, to see that we are on the same boat. We're all on the same boat, yeah, and that helps. And my point is, it's totally okay if you don't remember a specific word, or it's totally okay if you don't remember how to say a specific structure or phrase or sentence, because the language learning process, like as I'm saying every single time, as I've said hundreds and hundreds of times, the actual language learning process is subconscious. All right, and it's as simple as this: if you understand what is being said to you, if you understand what you're listening to, if you understand what you're reading, you're learning the language. It's that simple. All right. So I can tell you 1,000 things, and we're certainly gonna discuss so many topics here. But at the end of the day, it's as simple as this: if you understand what you're listening to, if you understand what you're reading, you're learning the language. Even if it doesn't seem so, all right. Even if you don't think you are, but believe me, you are. And eventually, with enough repetitions of that specific sentence or phrase or word or the language as a whole, you're gonna be able to use it. All right. And when I'm saying repetitions, I mean repetitions of the same structure or word within the context of a story. Not isolated repetitions of grammar exercises, like like the traditional grammar approach told us. Okay. So I believe it's really important to understand this. That, to me, I'll talk about it over and over again, because to me the two most important keys to understanding how the process actually works are number one, comprehensible input. Comprehensible input is the key to the entire process, and we learn by getting input, and our output eventually shows up as a consequence. All right. So that's super important to understand. And the second key is the actual language learning process is a subconscious process. It's not conscious. We don't need to memorize things. We don't need to learn grammar rules consciously. We don't. So I wanted to talk about this because it really helped me relax when it comes to language learning in general. Because, like I said, I'm watching a series and I'm not paying attention to specific words, or I'm not getting frustrated because I cannot recall those words 20 minutes later. I don't know. Or, I'm also, when I'm also starting with a new language, I'm also looking for YouTube channels. I'll make a video about this, about different YouTube channels that use TPRS and comprehensible input and the right ideas to teach languages. Because I've seen a few and I'm enjoying some of them to help me learn other languages. And when I'm starting from scratch with say Chinese, which is one of the ones I'm focusing on right now, like in those channels, the teachers they have like videos for total beginners and videos that I can actually understand, which is what I need. All right. And after several videos, there are certain structures that I already remember. I already recognize when I listen to them, I should say. Okay. And then later on, when I finish the video, I don't know, like half an hour later, I'm trying to recall the specific words, or I'm trying to build a sentence in my mind to see that I'm making progress, And many times I perfectly understand what the teacher is saying, but I can't recall those words afterwards. And again, I was bound to feel frustrated in that specific moment, but always try to remind myself that it's okay, that's just how the process works, that the process is working because I understand what the teacher is saying, okay, and I just need more repetitions of it within the context of a story, within the context of a series, within the context of a book, within the context of a conversation, a real life conversation with a friend, with a native speaker, okay. So yeah, this whole episode is to help you realize that, first of all, that the language process is subconscious, which might sound a little weird or a little out of control right now for you, but believe me, it's actually excellent news because we don't need to constantly study grammar rules. That's the first good news. And then, believe me, you can relax so much more when reading something, when watching series. You're getting back to reading, for example. I have so many people ask me, but how do you do it when you learn? I mean, when you read a book in a foreign language, do you look words up when you don't understand them, or do you have a dictionary next to you? And again, I tell them no, like never. And actually, I think on average, on an entire book, I probably look up 2-3 words, like throughout the entire book, and only if I feel that word is really important to understanding what the story is about, or what that specific scene is about. So if I don't understand a specific word, and I believe it's really important to understanding something key in the story, I look it up. But again, that's like 2-3 words per book. And again, it's just one more example to show you that it's way more relaxing to read a book or to watch series, to watch documentaries or whatever it is, when just paying attention to the message, to what's going on, and of course, if you're starting out with a language, you cannot understand series, all right? So it doesn't make any sense to watch series in Chinese if I'm just getting started, okay? So in that case, I would have to look up every single word, So what I'll do is first I'll try to look for classes or for teachers who teach Chinese, in this case this way, and then I start out with cartoons, comics, and easier resources for beginners, like I'm always talking about. Okay, so it's all about finding specific resource for your current level, of course. That's always key, because like I said, comprehensible input is one of the keys, or if not the most important keys to this process. Okay, and yeah, that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this new episode. I hope it was useful for you. Again, let me know in the comment section down below whether you found out something really important in this episode, whether you feel more relaxed after listening to this episode. Also, let me, if you disagree with me with anything I said, let me know as well. As long as we're respectful with each other, as I'm always saying, I'm more than open to different ideas, to different discussions and so on. Actually, I believe that helps me improve, and that helps everyone improve. So don't be afraid to participate and leave your comment, whether you agree or disagree with me or whatever it is. And also, if you have any other question concerning the language learning process, please go ahead and let me know, because you'll be giving me ideas for future episodes. And I'm so passionate about languages that whatever the questions, I'm gonna think about it for a few days and then create an episode. Because I just love this process. I just love languages and meeting people from different countries, etc. So yeah, and yeah. So to wrap things up here, I believe there's no relationship between actual language learning and memory, which to me is excellent news. To be honest, again, because I just remember my old high school days and so on, when we just had to memorize everything for our exams. And if you're listening to this and you're still in high school or college or whatever you're doing, and you still have to memorize thousands of things just in order to pass a test, and and you're gonna forget everything you learn I don't know, even 2 hours after that. I'm sure you can relate to this feeling, and I'm sure you're also feeling relieved and relaxed after hearing these words. Okay. So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about in this episode, and I'll see you in the next episode in number 6. And I wish you a good day, whatever you might be, my dear language learning master. And bye bye. Happy language learning.